2023 was a big year and had a lot of big moments for me underwater. And in this video, I'm going to just recap some of the stuff we've seen in my earlier videos and really just kind of pinpoint some of the biggest moments of 2023. I'll be saving the best for last, so be sure to stay tuned in this video. I learned a lot going out in the water with so many different people in so many different places. And I thought it would be befitting to just end the year and recap some of the most memorable moments, most memorable trips. Really, this year there were a lot of new experiences, and I really felt like it would be great to get to share them with you guys in just one compiled video. The first big part of this amazing year was this trip to Monterey. One of the most memorable things about this trip is just the visibility. Just how amazing the visibility was on this day was really memorable, and it was very eventful as well. Catching that lingcod was great, and then also I have this little gem right here that I get to just laugh at and share for the rest of my life of just how much of an absurd moment this was. These rocks right here, and the viz was starting to get a little bit sketched. Now watch what happens next. How am I supposed to explain to my children that I missed that shot? I mean, wow, what a day that was. And then literally seconds later, it pops up on my camera right there. I had no idea that that happened. I saw it that when I was looking at my footage, I was like, are you kidding me? Because I went down in the same area that it swam off to, and I didn't see it until I looked at my footage. Interesting fish, beautiful day. This second trip right here was a little bit more south down in Big Sur. This is the first time where I hiked down a big cliff like this to get into the water. Had a couple buddies with me out that day and saw a couple of other fishermen out there as well. They came out of the water and they were like, visibility is looking really bad. This one guy caught 2 rockfish. That's about it. And I was like, oh man, well, you know what? We're all dressed up and I'm not going to go home without at least getting in the water. So let's get to it. So I was like, all right, let's see what we can do. And I mean, my goodness, just look at that water. Oh man. We actually had a guy who looked at the water and was like, you know what? I think I'm going to pass for today. I'm not getting in. And, there's no shame in that. But I'm just too greedy. I'm just one of those people. I just always think to myself, like, man, like, I'm not going to do all this effort and then just, back out at the last second. And over here, just look at that visibility. I mean, you're talking about 15 feet at best. We had to hike down for this too. Yeah, it wasn't one of the best days of, just hanging out and having an easy time underwater. Now this was directly the second trip, the next trip after that last Monterey trip where I missed that giant lingcod. So I had a score to settle here. So I was like, look, man, I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna right the wrongs. All right, I'm not missing another big lingcod if I see it. So I was out there hunting, looking under rocks, between rocks, and there's a second rockfish right there. So I'm like, all right, I'm on the scoreboard. It's a rough day. We're out there, we're getting meat. We're doing stuff. And the conditions were just getting worse and worse as the day went by, and it's just like the structure down here was what really blew me away. I mean, on a good day this would have been an incredible experience because of all the structure, all the holes. And then right here I right the wrong from that last trip. I get this giant lingcod right there. See, I dropped my gun while it was connected to my float. And so when I went down to go get it, I saw that lingcod just staring at my gun. So I pick up the gun, I hit the record button, and I guess I didn't press it hard enough. and the lingcod looked like it was about to start swimming away. Here you could see it actually biting one of the fish I had on the stringer. I caught 3 rockfish that day. The third one, I didn't get it on video, but I mean, that thing just chomped right at it. It was just biting and going crazy. I bled it in the water just to make sure, its life ends as quickly as possible, and, it doesn't have to suffer more than it already did. But I mean, man, what a catch. This really made me feel like, all right, you miss a big one and then you catch a big one. And I couldn't be more just, humbled by nature, and at the same time just really happy that on a hard day where other fishermen were going out there, I got to come out with this. Got 3 rockfish and this monster-sized lingcod, definitely above limit. And it's eating one of the rockfish on the stringer, as you can see. Look at that! Look at that! This guy is just like, man, he's definitely above limit, because my body measurement, so right up to the middle of my bicep is the 22-inch mark. This thing is looking, I'm guessing it's going to be about 24, maybe 25 inches. Biggest ling I ever caught with a spear gun. Sitting right there. Awesome fish. Look at that.
Righteous, bro.
Up next, we're out in Kona, Hawaii. So on this trip, I had booked to go out with a spearfishing guide, and he was going to teach us some free diving techniques for spearfishing, and I was really looking forward to that. Unfortunately, the guide got an ear infection. I've had those ear infections a couple of times, and it's not fun. So next best thing, I went out, bought this pole spear, and went and did what I could underwater. And, I mean, again, like you guys saw the conditions in that last trip, and the conditions in the trip before that were like prime. And now I'm out here swimming in this water. Look at how clear it is. You could see everything down here, even though I was missing. I mean, and then over here is this nice little eel at the end of it. And not to mention just how warm that water was. I didn't have to be in a thick 7mm wetsuit. Getting in and out of that wetsuit is also another struggle. And out here, I'm just, swimming in my swim shorts, and just, I was in the water for hours. But don't do what I did, and make sure you have some skin protection, because I got cooked by the sun that day, and I didn't even realize it. I was just so comfortable in that water. I could have been in it forever. And then right after that, we go scuba diving, and we see all these mantas. I mean, you could watch these guys on a screen and appreciate just how beautiful and majestic they are, but nothing is like seeing them in person. I mean, these guys, they came close to us. They were making all kinds of flips, and they were just, I mean, they're astonishing. They were beautiful, just absolutely amazing. And it was just, this could be the highlight of my year, getting to meet these mantas for the first time. So calm and peaceful. And out here, there was this Galapagos shark in the distance. I think I was the first one to spot it. And over here, then right after that dive, we did the night dive right here. And they put all these lights out, and mantas all come. They feed from plankton that get attracted to light. So they all showed up and started doing all these crazy tricks just to get their mouths open right where the light is, and, gulp up a couple plankton. So it was super cool to see. Super fun times. I always see something new in Hawaii. I wonder what I'm going to see the next time I'm out there. Hopefully it's a tiger shark, because I still haven't seen those bad boys. So now we take a little break from being underwater. And so on this day, conditions were really good. And I was asking all my dive buddies, hey, you guys want to go for a dive? And no one was available. So I did the next best thing. I got on top of my kayak, got my fishing rods, and I just went out and saw what I could see. As for a fishing trip, it really wasn't too memorable. I only caught like 2 fish. They were okay. They weren't too great. They weren't too big or too small. And it was just a beautiful day out. Sometimes just being out there by yourself is all you really need to just kind of, just reset your mind and just kind of have that peaceful experience. And right here, I missed a fish. Sometimes you just got to take your time with reeling in a fish. Fun times. And then out here, I saw some dorsal fins, and I kept thinking to myself, are those orcas? And in the video that I posted, I kept calling them okras. I don't know why. I guess when I was out there, I was a little too excited, but turns out to be they were dolphins, and I got up close and I got up close with those dolphins, and it was quite the experience. And then I catch another fish right here. Overall, it was a fantastic day, and I think those dolphins really made the day absolutely incredible. So this next trip right here is another big cliff hike, also in Big Sur, but in a farther spot. And something really interesting happened to me on this dive that never happened to me before. The video I posted, I didn't really narrate because I didn't really feel like there was too much to share. But I guess I'll just talk about it right now. So this was a bit of a longer hike than the other one. It was a lot more exhausting, but underwater right here, as soon as you get in the water, you're looking at 50 feet depth right there. Like it's basically just a cliff. It doesn't gradually get deeper. It's just boom. You're just down. Under you is just super deep. And there was plenty of fishermen out there on the day. So I wasn't out there alone. And so the day started out normally. I caught this perch right here, big, chunky, and I was happy with it. And then what ended up happening was, if you see the line on my spear gun right there, my whole line got tangled. I spent such a long time trying to adjust it, trying to untangle it, trying to put it in place. I didn't come out with my other spear gun. My other spear gun was at home. And I was like, dude, is my dive over? Did I just go on that hike and just catch one fish? So I barely put it in place where I could still shoot fish, and it wasn't problematic, but it was so like messy, and it made it harder to aim, and it just made the trip a lot worse than it just made the trip a little bit worse. Like it was just very inconvenient. And happily I was able to catch a couple more of these buggers. But I do want to add that on that day, something kind of crazy happened. And like I said, it's deep. It's deceptively deep out here. And on one of my last deep dives, I did the duck dive. I went down and I got as deep as I've ever been on a free dive. And I shot a fish at the bottom. And right after that, right after I shot that fish, I was like, I need to breathe now. Like, this is my limit. I look up and I'm way deep down there. I'm like, dude, I must have been 50, 60 feet, the deepest I've ever been on a free dive. So I start hauling ass, trying to go up. And it's never happened to me before where I've panicked underwater, and I certainly felt that panic, which is never a good thing. And I kept kicking, and I even started swimming with my arm, like trying to just go up with my arm to like help me get up faster. And luckily I got all the way back up. I had a sigh of relief. I started recovery breathing, and gladly nothing bad happened from that. I was exhausted. I was tired, and I pushed myself. And I've never done the free diving class or certification, but so I don't like to have contractions. I don't allow myself to have contractions when I'm underwater. I don't really know how to deal with them. I'm not used to that. I just go deep, and then I just go down, and then I'm like, okay, I need to breathe. So I go up and breathe. But just being all the way down there, and the first instinct coming to mind is, I need to breathe now, was something that I won't forget anytime soon. And I was able to get back up there. I didn't dive deep again that day. I was just way too tired and just didn't want to have to go through that again. But just always try to avoid your limits when you're out here. It's really not worth it. But luckily I came out here with a good stringer of fish and had an awesome memory of it, and I will certainly be going out there again in the near future. And lastly, the best for last, the Catalina Island trip. I mean, I could write a book about this trip, to be honest. Originally, we had 2 nights, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, we had to cancel one of the nights. And so we were only out there for one day. And, it's just being out there was incredible. Getting in that water, going on the kayaks and just jumping off the kayaks and, just trying to shoot whatever we could shoot. And then I run into this shark right here. So this was a big deal for me. Now, I've seen whale sharks in the past, but this is the first time I see a shark that could shred me to bits if it wanted to. And my family, since I'm the first diver in my family, I'm the first one to be doing this. They're always asking me, so what do you do if you see a shark? What do you do if a shark's coming at you? What do you do if a shark's coming at you with its mouth open, headed straight for your face? Just look at this right here. Does this guy look like he's going to do any of that? So I was just so happy to have this experience. And then minutes after I see that shark, we find this beauty right here. Now, this fish is a celebrity. She's known as tri-tip or tri-tail. I think tri-tail is her name. She's known as tri-tail, and she's a black sea bass, endangered species. She's super territorial. She did not leave our sight when we saw her right here. She just kept swimming around us, but was super friendly, super awesome to be around. I mean, just what an incredible experience. Like, I actually submitted some of her pictures on this website where they do this kind of like sea bass, black sea bass conservation efforts. So I submitted my photos to them, and they told me like, yes, this is tri-tail, and she's this assumed to be this old and whatever, and a little bit of information about her. And whenever anybody else sees her, I'll get an email saying, hey, somebody else just submitted an entry. And so far, only one other person has submitted an entry after me, as far as I know. I mean, what an incredible experience. I could not I could not get enough of being around this thing. Like, it just looked so cool. And, it was just mind blowing. So this trip continued. And so the thing is, when we got out here, there's that shark again. It might have been that same shark from before. Might have been another one. But just being out here, we got out here pretty late in the day. We got in the water around maybe 4 or 5 o'clock. Kayaked over, spent some time with the sea bass, and didn't really fish too much, didn't really try. And then so when we kicked it into okay hunting mode, time to catch a fish, we were having a rough time. It's hard out here. Fish are smart, and there's an abundance of wildlife. We saw tons of bat rays, just like this one. It started to get dark. And we're hunting inside kelp forests, and it gets really dark in the kelp forest, and it started to get a little bit scary. But, we were out there. There was 3 of us in the water, and by the end of the trip, I was able to land 2 fish. This right here was a sheephead, well within the legal limits. Some people are not happy that it's a female, but it's got to be 14 inches minimum, and I was happy with this catch. It's like, hey, we can take something back to the camp and feed the boys. So my flashlight ran out of battery, and I had a spare flashlight with me. Now, in diving, the rule is if you're going to be out at night, you have one light for your dive, and you have a second light to get back to shore with. So when when the battery of my first light finished, I said, okay, guys, I'm done. And I need to start heading back to shore. So my buddies got in with us, and we're like, all right, let's start getting back to shore. Because the sun was setting. 5 minutes after we start getting back to shore, it was pitch black. You can't see a thing. We're in the middle of the ocean, in this crazy island, on our kayaks, trying to get back to where we started. And we were counting the coves on the way out. So we counted 3 coves, and we're like, all right, now we got to count 3 coves on the way back. So we count 1 cove, 2 cove in the dark, and we're like, all right, so we got to get past this 3rd cove, and we should be where we're supposed to go. Now that 3rd cove was really huge. And so one of our buddies was like, oh, hell no, we're not going past this. We're going to go straight into this cove, and we're going to go to shore. I'm done being in the ocean. I'm getting back to shore, and we'll figure out this kayak situation. We'll figure out whatever, but I'm done being in the ocean, and I don't care what happens next. The dude started to get a little frantic. So we were like, all right, let's get this guy to shore and we'll figure it out. Okay. So we start kayaking back. We get there, and the funniest thing was happening is that every few seconds we would hear the sound. And we're like, what the heck was that? So thing is, on Catalina Island is there's a lot of these flying fish. They just kind of glide over the water. They skid a little bit. And so it was just so funny hearing that sound in the middle of the night. So we start heading back to shore to get back to this cove, and we're thinking, okay, what are we going to do next? You know, are two of us just going to take these kayaks to the other side? Are we going to leave this guy by himself? What are we going to do? Luckily for us, that guy insisted that we go back to shore. And he's never going to let me down for this one. He's never going to let me tell the story without giving him the credit for this. Because it turned out that that spot is where we actually needed to go. That was the spot that we came out from. And just thinking back to that, you know, just to what I was thinking, hey, we got to go past that cove way over there. We would have been kayaking until sunrise. We would have been lost. We would have been going back and forth like, dude, did we miss it? Where is it? Where are we? I feel like at some point I probably would have been like, you know what? Let's just wait for the sun to come up and then we'll figure it out. I feel like that would have happened, but luckily that guy was with us. Luckily he insisted, you know, and we got back to shore to you know, share this awesome experience with everybody else. And again, I can't wait to go out to Catalina Island again, get in the water much earlier, maybe focus more on the fishing. And yeah, I mean, what an incredible year it was. And I can't wait to see what 2024 brings. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys watched this far into my video, I really appreciate it. I know this is a lot longer than what I usually make, and it's been a video that I've worked on for a while. And, you know, I appreciate your guys' input. I appreciate your guys' love. I appreciate your guys' hate. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much.